Hi everybody, it's Katie. Today is episode 4 of this Little Mermaid journey. The project for today's episode is going to be Ariel's little secret collection of treasures. We are going to just kind of stash it over in a particular area of the map. You can see from the arrow here. It would be great if we could put it inside of a cave, but I thought about putting it in a house and decided to go ahead and stick with putting it outside and making the area tuck in and look a little bit like a cove of its own. I feel like this collection that Ariel has is a really important part of the Disney movie if you're familiar with it, but we have a lot of terraforming to do before we get started, so let's go ahead and get that complete. The custom pattern I'm using is a really important part of the island design for this particular theme, and I sort of skipped this step last time because it's a little boring to sit and watch someone put the pattern down. I received a request to show this process so you guys would know a little bit more about how I go about putting patterns down. So here you can see on this little bitty top area, I'm mostly just standing in one spot and putting everything down. I do use the custom island designer when I'm putting a lot of one pattern down that's the same pattern, so I go back and forth quite a bit, but if I'm working in a tight little area like this, I find it's easier just to stand in one place and put the patterns down. This does definitely require that you become familiar with how pattern placement goes down in the game, so from the direction that your character is facing, it's always going to do the main square that you're standing in, then it'll do the square in front of you, the top right, the top left, the side right, the side left, back right, back left, and behind you. As long as you keep this pattern in mind and you remember which direction your character is facing, it can be a lot faster to do it straight from the app. I still find that it's faster to go ahead and use the actual function to put the same pattern down if you're going to do it multiple times in a row, like that line I just finished. And it's also really easy to mess up when you're working on things, so don't get discouraged, do a little bit of practice, and you'll find that custom patterns are a really great way to add character and beautiful theme to your island. Once you've mastered the basic steps to fill in the area you're working on, you can actually switch over and make things more interesting by placing some type of pattern that is a little bit out of character, like this one that I just put down. After that, you can go through the process of trying to make it work. Think about the custom pattern you're using and try and fix it so that that particular piece is actually included in the design. This is a really good way to change the pattern up so that everything isn't just one big blocky color, but actually has a little bit of distinction. This is a really great tip when you're working either on regular paths or on any type of custom pattern. You can see here, everything kind of went the other direction. I meant to go the other way and it didn't work. I'm still just trying to connect it so that I'm happy, and that's fine. You're just gonna play with it until you pull the pattern together. The end result means that your custom patterns will have a lot more unique intricacy to them and will be more beautiful and interesting to look at on your island. The first thing I'm going to do now that the area is all decorated with custom patterns is to go in and put the larger items down and start working on things that are going to be more a part of the actual landscape. I'm creating the area for Ariel's little collection, but not actually her collection yet. It is all supposed to be underwater, and even though this area is outdoors, which is a little different than it is interpreted in the movie, I think it's going to work really well to show the whole idea of this collection that she has. I think it's so cute that Ariel is completely fascinated by humans and wants to collect all of their things, and I think it's going to be really fun to put this area together. But first it needs to look like it's an outdoor area that she is adding to. I've been using the caves a lot, and I really like the way that they help bring the land up and look pretty cool actually as underwater rocks. Other things I'm using for the outdoor look here are the glowy moss stools and boulders, as well as some of the mush items. I'm using lots of weeds and glow moss, different kinds of rocks and flowers, and some of the fish models as well. It's a lot of really odd items that you wouldn't think would go well together, but I'm actually really loving the aesthetic that these things are kind of creating an outdoor underwater type of a look. I've been really happy with the way that the outdoor areas are coming along here in the island, so it's been really fun to do. Now that the whole outdoor area has been put together, I'm coming back in with items specifically to be part of the collection. And of course, the mermaid shelf is the quintessential piece, was absolutely necessary. I thought about just filling the whole area wall to wall with the shelf, but I wanted to pretend like there was a little bit more variety. So I thought about items that might have fallen off of a shipwreck or somehow been taken out to sea. And then I started adding things on top of them that looked like they wouldn't have been too destroyed by the water. More metal, porcelain, plastic looking items. In the end, it was a little bit harder to do to find the items that I was looking for, but it worked out. I have a few more items I want to order to add to the collection, and I also really want to finish a lot of the outdoor space that kind of comes near and around this, including the cliffs up above Ariel's area. So I'm going to take care of a little bit more design, and I'll come back and tour you guys on the final build. Here's what the map looks like after all of this week's progress. I ended up completing everything in the area here, sort of within the circle. And let's go take a look at it, because I really love the way it came out. I'm standing practically in the middle of my map. If you go to the right, that's where the underwater palace is. Ignore these blocks here. That is kind of what I've been reminding myself where I want the path to go. But here is what we completed. I love tucked back in over here. I used all three of the manta ray models. I thought it would be cute if they were all sort of swimming in the same area together. I also pulled up another cliff on the other side so that there would be a good entryway into what is going to be Ursula's area, where we're going to put the deep ocean, and we'll be working on that in a different episode. You can see the path for the island ends up being where the sand is, and there's not as much of everything else. So it's kind of a unique island design, but let's head into Ariel's area. After we pass under the shell arch, we have this tiny little pathway that leads back into her secret area. And I tried to really fill it up with a lot of the cute little things. If we climb up onto the cliff, there's a really fun view. You can see the decorations I used up here on top of the pattern that we did together. And I finished a little bit of the area behind this too. You can see if we look back onto it. I don't know what kind of special thing we'll put back there. We may just leave it to be fun, but for now, it feels good to have such large areas of the island done. Down here in Ariel's space, though, it just feels so much like the vibe I was trying to go with her secret collection and all of the super miscellaneous things. I hope that Ariel herself would be proud of the human items that we put together for her. That's all the time we have for this episode today. I hope you found something useful here and continue creating in this game. Until next time, have the best Animal Crossing day.